Jennie spent 6 frustrating months in the recording studio before she came up with the song that unlocked the identity, the thorough line of her first solo studio album. Zen, track number 9, from which everything else we now know as Ruby grew. Zen became her guiding light, centerpiece, heartbeat of the album, as she mentions in the Apple Music podcast with Zayn. And she worked on this album until the bitter end, until a few days before the album was released. That's what I call dedication. Likewise, I literally wrote and recorded the script for this video like yesterday, 24 hours before this video went live. And I've worked on this video up until its release at noon. Up until I listened to Ruby, the only other K-pop songs I was familiar with were
Smooth like
Butter and Dynamite by BTS, and Gangnam Style, if that counts as K-pop. In case you haven't picked up what I have put down, I didn't know much about K-pop. I was only familiar with K-pop in the very general sense. And even with all the interviews and mini documentaries I've watched to familiarize myself with Jennie, I still wouldn't claim to be an expert. I say this because one of the many things I learned while researching for this video was that K-pop fans are very passionate about their faves, not unlike fans of American pop icons. And so, if I speak out of turn and say something incorrect, please give me some grace and politely correct me in the comment section. Speaking of grace and politeness, Ruby was none of the above, in the sense that Jennie came out swinging with her first solo studio album. It's literally just hit after hit after hit. What's even more fascinating to me is her shy and seemingly reserved demeanor in interviews, which is contrasted by her fierce delivery of bars in her songs and bold and confident performances in her videos. It's almost not the same person and shows her versatility and dedication to the craft, something that fans claimed was previously missing while she was in Blackpink. What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Yaira, better known as Simply Yaya. I am proudly African from Cameroon, born and bred. I worked for Disney for the better half of my young adult life, and more recently, Whole Foods. I am always working on leveling and glowing up, and I have a Master of Science in Journalism, which informs how I view and discuss some aspects of pop culture on this channel. And for early access to my videos and some additional content and perks, you may sign up for my membership by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. It's $4.99 a month. I already have an hour-long, juicy storytime video uploaded if you're into longer videos. Now back to our regular scheduled program. This year's Met Gala was my official introduction to Jennie. I had made a mental note of the first Monday in May to watch the Met Gala on live stream, which I did, and posted a few YouTube shorts of the blue carpet looks. And of all the shorts of the Met that I posted, the one with Jennie got the most views. That was my indication to look more into her background, what makes her tick, hence this video. I mentioned in the intro that Ruby is proof of Jennie's versatility and dedication to the craft. As 1/4 of the K-pop female group Blackpink, which Jennie had been a part of since 2016 when she was about 20, she had spent 6 years prior training to be a part of this very group, in which she and her group mates had very little say in the choice of clothing they wore for performances, choreography, what they sang, and who they dated. As I understand it, K-pop idols were generally discouraged from dating, as dating was seen as a distraction. Many agencies had no dating clauses in idol contracts, in order to protect the images of the idols and boost popularity. As far as clothing went, they worked with stylists to create coordinated looks that aligned with their brand image, which seemed to be very colorful, sometimes punk rock vibes, whereas Jennie seemed to have more of a minimalist, monochromatic, chic style. As someone who likes to have some level of control and considers herself independent, just reading the above alone made me feel a bit antsy and a bit claustrophobic. And I can only imagine how Jennie, who seemed to have a strong sense of self, willingly living in a foreign land from ages 9 through 14, and then moving back home to Korea to pursue her dream, and had been at this for 14 years, longer than the rest of her group mates, was feeling in what I can only describe as a box. All of those emotions likely spilled over into her performances, and combined with an ankle injury, unbeknownst to most, fans began branding her the lazy idol for not having the same energy and enthusiasm as her group mates. Her silence during group interviews further led to other unflattering labels such as cold and mean, and before we knew it, Jennie was public enemy number one. Okay, that was a bit dramatic, but the hate she received for just being herself was unwarranted. It wasn't long before Jennie flipped the script on her haters. You see, Ruby may be her first studio album, but it isn't her first solo project. Solo was released in 2018 and hit number 1 on Billboard K-Pop Hot 100. You and Me was released in 2023 and hit number 1 as well on Billboard Global. She played Diane in HBO's The Idol. The show's reviews were bad, but the scenes with Jennie in it went viral. She's Chanel's global ambassador since 2019. She's collaborated with Porsche to design a Porsche named after her. That's a major flex. Jennie has many more brand collaborations under her belt, too many to list, but you get the point. She's a red-hot commodity. Which brings me to Ruby. Ruby is part of a longer name Jennie gave herself once she arrived to New Zealand from Korea. Why Ruby? Ruby Red, as in the theater curtain. She wanted to be a performer, and Jennie Ruby Jane is now a performer, and much more. She's approaching icon status if she isn't there already. And the album is both fierce and fragile. It shows strength and sensitivity, a duality, a balance. Much like Jennie's personality, and I would argue much like lots of people's personalities. I think we all have sensitive and strong sides, but it just depends which ones we decide to tap into depending on the day, like in Mantra. It'll be depending on the day. One of my favorites on the album. As a matter of fact, the whole album is stellar. This is a no-skip album for me. However, I do have my favorites. Basically, the first half of the album up until and including Zen are my favorites. And then everything after Zen I appreciate for the lyrics. Let's talk about my favorites, shall we? Since we are already on Zen, let's start there. As previously mentioned, Zen is the centerpiece of the album. Here's what Jennie had to say about how Zen came along.
What was the first song that you feel began to unlock the identity of this album and really made you realize, all this work I've done up to this point is going to matter?
It's Zen.
Huge. One of my favorites, hands down.
Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you.
I was surprised it was a Lucy. I was like, that's a smasher. And you were like, no, here's the video. Moving on. I was like, well, this album better be serious because that's a killer. I love that track. And I love the intensity you've built around that concept. You haven't leaned into what it looks like on paper. You've created your own version of almost like Fight Zen.
Mm-hmm. Wow, with Zen, there is so much to talk about. But when Zen came along, that's when I knew, oh, my album is Ruby and it's happening. And that was maybe like 6 months into spending time at the studio every day.
Oh my God, that's tough after 6 months, wondering like, when am I going to get an answer?
Mm-hmm. Every month just got more harder as time went by. I felt more anxious. I felt like something was coming, chasing after me when this is something that I started. So I started, I lost myself in my head. And then I met this amazing writer called BB. She played a very big role for my album. She really opened up to me, and I learned to open myself up to her, and we just had a great time. And that's when Zen came along, and after many conversations that I had with her about our true motivation, our inspirations, and our just life, we clicked pretty quickly. And then with the message and the words in Zen was done in such a delicate way. It was made in such a delicate way, but to be expressing it in such a loud, fierce way. I think that kind of represents who I am.
That music video, there are no words for how intricate it is. Jennie with an IE is so brilliant, as it's an interpolation of J-Lo's Jennie from the Block, except this Jennie is with an IE, as the title says. Then we have Love Hangover. Her sense of humor comes through in this video. She keeps going on dates and dying at the end of each one, and when she wakes up, she's back at it again, going on more dates. It's like Groundhog Day and Happy Death Day, where the character relives the same day every day, and it's up to them to change. Otherwise, they will keep dying at the end and waking up to live the same day all over again. Represents the repetitiveness of falling in love, knowing how it will end. She either sabotages it or picks the wrong guys. The Who Sent You part reminds me so much of The Roots, featuring Jill Scott's You Got Me. Start a War is giving SZA's Kill Bill. The vibe, not the lyrics. Like Jennie is my anthem. Of course, I don't want to be like anyone other than myself, but that music video, the synchronicities and the camera work is insane. However, I may get hate for this, but to me, the choreography is mid. They could have gone harder on the choreography because the song is so fire, so hard hitting, that I thought it was the centerpiece of the album. But it's the title track and it's very fitting. Really love the mix of Korean and English in the second verse. That's the only song on the album with Korean lyrics. Handlebars. A Dua Lipa and K-pop collab was not on my 2025 bingo card. However, their energies and voices go so well. And they both actually have something in common. Jennie was debuted by YG Entertainment prematurely, from her picture being uploaded onto the company blog in 2012 to being in G-Dragon's music video 4 years before she became a member of Blackpink, leading to accusations of favoritism. And Dua Lipa was crowned Gen Z's Madonna by GQ with the release of her second album, Future Nostalgia, and then this happened. Followed by Radical Optimism, which I quite liked and did a review on last year, but it didn't measure up to her first two albums. Speaking of energies meshing so well, the Extra L collab with Doechii slayed. Period. I cannot tell that she was nervous or starstruck to meet Doechii. They look like they just chilling. She said she wanted to match Doechii's energy, and I think she did. Now we get into Jennie's standouts, as she mentions on the Apple Music podcast, which are Zen, which we've talked about, Starlight, F.T.S, Twin, and Extra L, which we've also talked about. Starlight sounds like she's saying it's lonely at the top, but coming to terms with it. It's worth it to make her mom proud. Remember the Night sounds like a double entendre. She remembers the dark times, the black mystery, personal struggles, but also remembers the night she was able to release those emotions and alchemize it into this song. The message of F.T.S, aka F that shit, aka Flip That Script, is about going all in on your dreams, regardless of the chatter. Thoughts become beliefs, which become reality. Twin seems to be about an old friend that there's been friction with. Relatable. This album is so eclectic, from the sound right down to the collaborations. I don't remember the last time I listened to a 15-song album without constantly counting down to the last track. In other words, I needed the album to finish not because I was bored, but because I was excited to write down my thoughts on it. This was such a pleasure to listen to, and I can't wait to see what Jennie does next. The album debuted at number 7, not too shabby, and has been on the Billboard 200 for 10 weeks. The second album by a female K-pop solo artist to achieve this. Let me know in the comments who you would like me to review next. I do have reviews of Miley, Tate McRae, Tyla, SZA, and Chloe Bailey coming, but be sure to drop requests below. Otherwise, I'll keep doing the ones I like. Like, share, subscribe, and watch this one next.